Hello, everyone. My name's Afia Atamensa, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our program this evening, Reimagining Public Safety Up and Down the Ballot, Movement Politics in 2021, hosted by People's Action. So I'm the executive director of a People's Action member organization here in New York City, Community Voices Heard Power, and I'm thrilled to be here with you all tonight for a powerful discussion with movement leaders and candidates for office from New York City to Chicago and Buffalo to Minneapolis. So drop in the chat where you're joining us from. I also want to let folks know we'll be having Spanish translation. So para español, siga esta link. And if you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter and want to join the conversation right now, follow this link. Now, y'all ready? Live from Atlanta, I am thrilled to pass it over to Speech Thomas, two-time Grammy Award winner and frontman of legendary hip hop group Arrested Development. Speech is also an activist and filmmaker who recently produced the award-winning documentary 16 Bars. He helped us turn out the vote to win the White House in November. Welcome, Speech.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very, very excited to be a part of a people's movement to reimagine safety in America. And honestly, it's long overdue. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Now, I live in Georgia, but I could be driving anywhere in the US, which I do often, being a touring artist. And when a police car shows up behind me, literally my hands immediately get sweaty, my heart starts to race, and I know that whatever this interaction might be, it could result in me being murdered. When I interact with a police as a Black man, it's life or death in too many instances. Not only that, when my 5'11" tall, chocolate brown son gets pulled over, they don't see the 26-year-old smart, SCAD, full ride scholarship graduate. They see a dangerous, dark-skinned Black man. The present police force were never designed, nor funded, nor equipped to fully serve all Americans. Instead, time after time, they serve the interests of white America only. And that is by nature white supremacy, which is unfortunately exactly what they had been designed to do since the 1700s, which was to stop runaway slaves from gaining their freedom. In the 1800s, they were further designed to control immigrants who were moving into cities. Now, do you see the correlations to our times today? And most importantly, they were designed to protect their property, and especially the property of the rich and the wealthy. But priority number one was never the everyday people. So today and tonight, it really excites me that our nation is ready to dig up these issues by the root and to reimagine what policing and true safety means. I feel like we have an opportunity right now, and I would not have wanted to miss this for the world. So I want my son and his children to live in a nation where the police are a positive part of our overall community. So we must reimagine that our safety cannot be them against us. Instead, just us, justice. And this is the safety that I want for everyday people and led by everyday people. And we're at that moment right here tonight. I did a song called Everyday People, and I'm a vibe with it right here. It goes a little something like dun 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 bada bye 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 bada bye 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 bada bye 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 hey bada bye 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 bada bye bye bye. Let me hear you say whoa, say yeah. There you go. I am everyday people. Yeah, Hey, hey, you see, I am everyday people. Yeah, take me to another place, take me to another land, make me forget all that hurts me, let me understand your plan. Take me to another place, take me to another land, make me forget all that hurts me, let me understand your plan. Lord, it's obvious we got a relationship, talking to each other every night and day. Although you're superior over me, we talk to each other in a friendship way. Then out of nowhere, you tell me to break out of the country and into more country past Osborne, into Ripley, where the ghost of childhood haunts me. Walk the roads my forefathers walked, climb the trees my forefathers hung from. Ask those trees for all their wisdom. They tell me my ears are so young. Go back to from whence you came, your family tree, your family name. For some strange reason, it had to be. He guided me to Tennessee. Yeah, that's just vibes from songs. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the night. I'm glad to be here. And back to you, Afia. Thanks.
Thank you, Speech, so much for your powerful words and your work. Like I said, Speech helped us turn out the vote to win the White House and flip the Senate in Georgia. These wins, your wins, our wins, open the door to big transformational change in our country, the change we need right now. How did we win? Let's hear from what some of our friends have to say about that.
People's Action.
It is really great to be back with People's Action as you launch your deep canvassing program.
What we know at the end of the day, what is far more effective is deep canvassing.
So we are taking the time to have meaningful human connection.
Oof. Now, as Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez said, we bought it in 2020 and we're going to do it again starting tonight. We put Trump out the White House and changed the Senate. Now I'd like to show you just what we achieved with our game-changing deep canvass in 2020 to defeat Trump in key battleground states. Pardon me. You know, we reached out to 43 million voters with 25,000 volunteers who made calls into battleground states, people just like you, who stepped up to have transformational conversations and build common ground around a multiracial vision where all of our communities can live in true safety. And we're just getting started. So get plugged into our Deep Canvas team to reimagine safety by texting WIN, W-I-N, to 79606 right now. Now, many of our members at Community Voices Heard, just like so many of you, have been forced to live in unsafe conditions. Public housing developments with broken elevators and mold that is making the very air you breathe toxic. Unsafe work conditions that require people to toil without protective equipment for pittance wages that are designed to leave you barely surviving instead of thriving. Schools that didn't have money to operate in normal times, much less in the midst of a global pandemic. There's nothing safe about these dynamics. Nothing safe about a system that values profits over people. that values incarceration over liberation, a system that's North Star is white supremacy. And because white supremacy values only whiteness, Black people, brown people, immigrants, Asians, so many of us are summarily murdered by the police state. Well, we say no more. We are here to divest from systems that persecute us and invest in ourselves. Reimagining safety is about dignity, about thriving, about money for our communities and self-determination. Our vision is not about individual candidates, but about a movement of people who believe in a liberation that is not some far off future, but is predicated on the urgency of right now. Our fight is for everyone. Energy is around both our candidates and our movement and co-governance. This is about calling, knocking, texting. It's about fighting for our freedom. So what is movement politics? It's electing our own people who will move our agenda from within government and do it in a relationship with our communities, held accountable by the people who put them in office. Supporting people from our movement for local office is one plank of our strategy going forward. We also need more people from our movement in the US Congress. We are going to launch our work on that in the coming months. But to be clear, we think these things are connected. More people we elect from our movement to city and state office now, the more we can move them to US Congress in the coming years. Deep canvassing is a transformational way of having anti-racist conversations grounded in empathy and story sharing that is scientifically proven to be over 100 times more effective than traditional canvassing. Let me say that to you again, 100 times more effective than traditional canvassing. And as we saw this week in the suburbs of Atlanta, violent white supremacy threatens all of our communities. And today we send our love and solidarity to the families of the 6 Asian women and other victims as a result of white supremacy and misogyny and a system that continues to perpetuate that. As well, we want to give love and light to an Asian American community who have for decades had to struggle and be subject to institutional racism and violence that has been exacerbated by Trump and his propagandists on the white nationalist right. So today we are launching our new anti-racist deep canvassing program to win real safety for our communities by using our people power to elect movement champions all at the ballot box, like India, Tiffany, and Crystal, and winning structural change to our public safety systems like the Transforming Public Safety Charter Amendment in Minneapolis. So who is with me? Are you ready to throw down to win the safety of our communities deserve? If so, take a moment, go on and drop that hell yes in the chat and text WIN to 79606 to join our deep canvas program to reimagine safety up and down the ballot, and let's win the world we deserve together. Now, I'd like to show you just what we achieved with our game-changing deep canvas program to defeat Trump in key battleground states and flip Georgia. And now I'm absolutely thrilled to pass it over to a comrade, Kajay Henderson. She is the Movement Governance Director with Take Action Minnesota, who is one of the phenomenal leaders on the ground in Minneapolis, working to reimagine what safety can look like if we truly invest in our communities, starting with the fight to win an amendment to the city charter to transform public safety in Minneapolis. Take it away, Kajay.
Thank you. My name is Kajay, and I'm the Movement Governance Director at Take Action Minnesota. Last summer, George Floyd was murdered 3 blocks away from my childhood home, 1 block away from the park that my little sisters still play at. As Minneapolis wrestled through trauma and grief, our neighborhoods were met with heavily militarized patrols and increased violence. But in the midst of an uprising, our communities were resistant. We came together as neighbors, unified in our demands to imagine a future without police violence. This year, during the same year that both our mayor and all 13 council seats are up for re-election, we have the opportunity to reimagine a vision for public safety in Minneapolis, a vision that would allow us to think outside of the confines of policing. The first step in achieving that will be amending our Minneapolis City Charter through ballot initiative. Take Action Minnesota is proud to be a part of Yes for Minneapolis, a community-led campaign which seeks to do the following: establish a new Department of Public Safety that would allow non-police, like social workers and mental health professionals, to be involved in keeping our community safe. Remove city charter language that would require a minimum amount of police to be employed and on the force. Here's what this public safety charter amendment would not do. It would not eliminate Minneapolis police overnight. It would not get rid of 911 or 311 for emergency responses. And it would not, in the community engagement process around figuring out an effective public safety strategy that works for Minneapolis. But here's what this charter amendment would do. It would remove the police-only model of public safety in our Minneapolis City Charter. It would establish a new Department of Public Safety with a public health approach to safety. It would provide the Minneapolis City Council with flexibility to fund public safety alternatives to policing. And it would empower the people to develop solutions for community-led safety initiatives. By starting this process, Minneapolis would become one of the strongest examples of what it looks like to implement a community-led vision for public safety. But we know that this fight isn't going to be easy. Even though Black folks make up only 19% of the population in Minneapolis, we account for 66% of chemical irritants used by MPD. That means military tactics like tear gas and pepper spray, things that burn your skin and lungs, are being disproportionately used on Black folks. We are 66% of neck restraints used by MPD. That means tactics involved in actively preventing folks from breathing are disproportionately used on Black people. 68% of gunpoint incidents involving MPD are used against Black folks. That means guns are used consistently when cops are interacting with us. Overall, MPD uses force on Black folks at 7 times the rate of white folks. That means every day, Black people in Minneapolis are under a threat of violence by police in a way that white people will never experience with the same crushing consistency. Last year, our mayor and police union fought tooth and nail to maintain the status quo by doubling down on requests to add additional police and increase spending on riot gear. We saw right-wing forces use harmful narratives about Black and brown folks to try and incite violence and suspicion of our communities. And that's why we need your help. You can join us in this historic fight right now by picking up your phone and texting WIN to 79606 to get plugged into our Deep Canvas program here in Minneapolis. Again, that's WIN to 79606. By having transformational conversations with folks across Minneapolis about what safety means to them, we have the opportunity to talk about how much safer our communities can be when we divest from policing and invest in things like housing, healthcare, and youth senior services. Passing it back to you, Afia.
Ooh, thank you, sis, for those powerful words and for all of the work you and your comrades at Take Action Minnesota are doing. So let's not forget, text WIN to 79606 right now so we can join in that work. We can help put boots on the ground. We can move forward and support this important charter amendment to keep our community safe. Now, I'm excited to bring on another trench fighter, another freedom fighter here with us tonight, a woman who's helping to lead the struggle to reimagine safety in my hometown of New York City, Tiffany Caban, a former public defender, movement leader, and I'm proud to say a People's Action and Community Voices Heard Power endorsed candidate for New York City Council. Over to you, Tiffany.
Hey, y'all, appreciate being here with you. You know, there are a handful of principles, or more accurately, truths that inform the work that I do with my community, and I want to focus on 2 of them. The police do not keep us safe, and hurt people hurt people. I'm a queer Latina who was raised in an over-policed and under-resourced community, and it was my personal experiences with exposure to violence, to substance use, to mental health issues and economic insecurity, and our government's response to those things that led me to my work as a public defender. Because when the people on my block needed help, we didn't get any. And then eventually what the government did was they sent cops. But in other whiter, wealthier communities, they got access to resources and support. And I was acutely aware of the fact that the only thing that separated me from my clients on any given day was the fact that my dad got a union gig and I had access to certain resources and supports. And like many of my neighbors, what I was up against was generational trauma. Acutely aware that this idea we're sold about good people and bad people, and we just need to find and lock up the bad people, was bullshit. It was just about people and access to resources and supports and opportunities to heal. My grandfather's a perfect example of that. He was both a physically and emotionally abusive husband and father, and also the most caring, patient, kind grandfather. I loved him. And he was a literal lifeline for me as a child. And so what our systems didn't account for or take responsibility for was that he was also a combat vet with PTSD who self-medicated, and where were our systems to support him so that he could support his family? And where were the opportunities to interrupt unhealthy dynamics and have reparative experiences? And so my work has been about pursuing dignity, liberation, and safety for all of our people who have been left on the margins, Black and brown folks, queer and TGNC folks, our disability community. And it's been about redefining and reimagining public safety, completely divorcing policing from public safety and leaning into another truth, that public health is public safety. It's housing, it's healthcare, it's education. And I tried to do that through constantly and consistently locating myself within our collective movement and asking whether I'm putting myself in a position to maximize impact and to maximize service, right? So now I'm running to represent City Council in District 22 because that's where that work is. It includes several neighborhoods in Queens, but it also includes Rikers Island. And for the folks who don't know that, it's our jail. It's one of the most notorious jails in the country, and can only be described as responsible for human rights abuses every single day. And there's this bridge that leads to the island, and I've crossed that bridge a lot as a public defender. It's the largest mental health provider in our state. Like every other jail and prison in our country, it's our cruel answer to poverty, substance use, and homelessness. And in my backyard, it's a living monument to the ways our city has failed the people who live here. It's a manifestation of what austerity gets us, because it's the inevitable outcome when you starve Black, brown, and low-income communities of resources and then throw police at every problem. And it's time to end it. And so how do we do that? I spoke to an organizer out in the closest public housing complex by me, Astoria Houses, and his name is Andre. And he said, people always say it takes a village to raise a child, but who is uplifting and taking care of the village? And that's the job of government, to create an infrastructure, a robust public health infrastructure that allows and empowers our people to take care of each other. It necessarily means defunding the police and fully funding our communities. And it means a commitment to co-governance. And I'm going to cite my homegirl, Sandy Nurse, who is also running for City Council in New York City out in BK. It's a process where movements and community members aren't only asked for their input, but are at the decision-making table side by side with decision makers shaping legislation and policy. It's a process where power and accountability flow from the bottom up and not the top down. It means allowing the people closest to the problems to drive the solutions. And so that's what the folks here tonight, up and down the ballot, are committed to doing. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with y'all, to be in relationship with y'all, to organize for this world together. And Afia, it's all you, sis.
Ooh, it's hot. I'm feeling this. Thank you, Tiff, for your leadership. I am so excited to be a part of the transformation that you're going to be about in our city. I'm excited to introduce y'all to another powerful leader. In case you guessing, yes, people's action and community voices heard power, endorse them too, because that's how we roll. New York City Council, soon to be, I'm seeing it. She's a candidate for New York City Council, Crystal Hudson. Crystal has been on the front lines of reimagining safety and the role of community care in our politics. She embodies exactly what we mean by our movement politics, because Crystal is from the movement and will govern with the movement when we elect her to City Council. Over to you, Crystal.
Thank you so much, Afia, and thank you, People's Action, for having me here tonight. I'm a first-generation American, third-generation Brooklynite, and I'm the only child of a single mother who's living with Alzheimer's disease. My mother spent 40 years as a registered nurse working at Harlem Hospital, taking care of New Yorkers, and it felt like there was no care for her when it was time for her to receive it. Through my caregiving experience, I've learned about the barriers facing regular working folks like us and the difficulties we have accessing services, resources, and even just basic information. I'm running for New York City Council to make government more accessible to more people, especially those of us who are most marginalized. After my mother's diagnosis, and in particular over this past year during the pandemic, we created a community of care around my mother. From friends and neighbors to healthcare professionals and various resources, it's been a broad community of folks who've helped my mother to stay safe. And imagine if each and every one of us had our own network of friends, of family and neighbors, medical providers and mental health professionals, social workers, mentors and teachers, and landlords who provide safe and secure housing that kept us at home rather than predatory landlords who force us to live in hazardous conditions that drive us out of our very own neighborhoods. We know that we're the ones who keep us safe. It is not police out for one another and real access to resources and services. We know that fully resourced schools and a quality education keeps us safe. Access to comprehensive healthcare keeps us safe. Secure, affordable housing keeps us safe. And good jobs with good wages and benefits keep us safe. Reimagining safety requires us to think big and tackle these systemic issues with big ideas based on our core values of caring for each other and maintaining our communities. In Crown Heights and Prospect Heights, two neighborhoods in the district that I'm running to represent, the number of shooting incidents more than doubled before the year ended, with 21 incidents in 2019 and 46 by October of 2020. In Brownsville, Brooklyn, not too far from my district, the number of shooting incidents quadrupled last year. Police unions blamed this increase on things like relaxed bail requirements and anti-police sentiment following this summer's protests after the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, Ahmaud Arbery, and too many others. But those of us who live in these communities and hear from our neighbors every day understand the reality. Our communities are suffering from a lack of investment and support, and our city's unwillingness to focus on the needs of Black and Brown New Yorkers. We need to reframe our city's focus on gun violence to shine a light on the root cause, the lack of resources, opportunity, and of hope. As part of my Black agenda for New York City, I've proposed a basic income program in zip codes with the highest rates of gun violence. We know that basic income programs work and that many communities plagued by gun violence have historically never been invested in and face fewer job opportunities. A basic income program in communities whose fabrics have been frayed by gun violence would provide an additional opportunity for families to secure housing, put food on the table, and reduce the anxiety associated with being unable to afford daily necessities that so frequently leads to violence and cycles of trauma. Our city's treatment of gun violence is indicative of our overall approach to policing. Ignore the root causes and focus solely on punitive measures to purportedly keep our neighborhoods safe. But we know that more policing doesn't keep communities safe. In fact, more policing does more harm. To truly make our communities safe, we need to defund our police departments and shift those funds to community-led safety programs that have a proven track record of reducing violence. We must demilitarize our police departments and remove armed police officers from schools, public transit, homeless outreach, and mental health response. We must also hold police officers and departments accountable for their actions. That means ending qualified immunity, removing indemnification clauses from union contracts, and giving an independent body the authority of disciplining police officers. To do that, we need to elect leaders who are from our communities and grounded in the belief of bottom-up policymaking, like me, like Tiffany Caban, and like India Walton. Thank you. Afia, back to you.
Thank you, Crystal, for all you have done, and I'm sure will continue to do. Now, I feel like people are noticing a pattern here, right? This is what we do on a Thursday night when you're part of People's Action. We just put dope women together who said they're gonna take over the world and we get on with them, right? And we're gonna continue that going tonight. I am super excited for you to hear from our next candidate. Her name is India Walton, proudly People's Action endorsed candidate for mayor of Buffalo. And India epitomizes everything we mean when we talk about what our elected leaders should be. She has been on the front lines with her community in Buffalo for years, fighting for real safety in the forms of criminal justice reform, affordable housing, healthcare, and more. Everything she does and will do as mayor of Buffalo is grounded in her lived experiences and deep love for her community. And with that, I am exceedingly excited for y'all to hear from our future mayor of Buffalo, India Walton.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Afia. My name is India Walton. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm a mother, I'm a registered nurse, a community organizer, and advocate. As a nurse, I'm well aware that quality, safe, affordable housing is the foundation of health, especially during a global pandemic. As the mother of 4 Black boys, well, 3 of them are technically men, but that's debatable. I know how demographic shifts in neighborhoods can cause an increase in policing. I'm a Homes Guarantee candidate because I believe that all people deserve safe, affordable, healthy housing. I believe in co-governance and democratic decision-making, skills I refined as a founding member and then executive director of the first successful community land trust in the city of Buffalo, where I worked with everyday folks to plan and affordable housing. The first units are almost complete and families will be moving in soon. My experience as an organizer has proven to me that while some people believe power can be bought by developers and corporations who extract resources from our communities to further enrich themselves, true power comes from the people. This past summer, our current mayor failed to protect people assembled in peaceful protest against police brutality. And when police pushed our comrade, 75-year-old Marty Gugino, down and cracked open his skull, there was no accountability. Excuse me. No one was held accountable. Our current mayor failed to protect 60-year-old Willie Henley, who was shot by Buffalo police in the midst of a mental health crisis. These moments have turned into a movement. After Willie Henley was shot, again, no one was held accountable. The kids who spilled into the streets of Buffalo over the summer in protest are turning our problems into political power. The upholding of racism, patriarchy, and the status quo is not only perpetuated by the right, it's also by people who vote on the same lines and run on the same lines as us. In Buffalo, in New York City, and in Minneapolis, we are building infrastructure to fight for our collective liberation. I am running to be mayor of Buffalo so we can finally work together to create a city that works for us all. Together, we can reimagine community safety. As mayor, I will ensure that our sons and daughters are able to move freely about their neighborhoods without asking why they're there. Our children belong everywhere. I think that's all I have. Back to you, Afia.
Thank you so much, India. And I'm so excited to see someone like you in power in Buffalo, bringing real solutions and safety to your community. Now, listen, you guys were able to hear from our dynamic candidates, and I want to make sure we have some space to open it up a bit, right? Open up for our town hall with our three phenomenal candidates. First up, we have Camille Johnson, a leader on the People's Action National Deep Canvas Call Team, who has a question for Crystal Hudson. Camille?
Thank you, Afia. Yeah, like Afia said, my name is Camille Johnson, and I actually just moved from Brooklyn, right near Crystal's district. So I'm super inspired to hear about her vision for public safety there. And I'm hearing on this call and seeing all in the chat that we are all aligned on your vision of safety that you were describing earlier. And so I'm curious, just what do you think is holding us back, or who do you think is holding us back from achieving the safety that our communities deserve right now?
I think, first, we know we've never seen a deep and sustainable investment in our communities, in healthcare, jobs, housing, education, and particularly for Black communities. We also need to build the biggest tent possible. I think we've all heard about, some folks in our community, elders, who are not always in full agreement that our strategies make sense. They came up in an era where tough on crime was everyone's mantra, and we haven't gotten to shake that off. We have to keep going back to build an intergenerational movement around safety. We have to imagine with our elders and with our youth about what real community safety looks like. And I always say we're imagining a future that doesn't yet exist. And so it's hard to get everybody to envision that future, but it is possible and it is necessary.
Thank you for that question and for the powerful response, Crystal. I'd like to make sure we get another person in here for a question. I'm going to pass the mic to Lauren Turner, a member leader with Our City Action in the mighty Buffalo, who has a question for India. Lauren?
Well, first, India, thank you so much for your words. Always very meaningful to hear you speak. As you know, being a resident of Buffalo, the past year has shown through impacts of the pandemic, police brutality, and housing insecurity that we need to take ownership on the public safety of our city. How will you enact co-governance with the tenants of Buffalo?
Thank you for that question, Lauren. And I get really emotional, right? I was born and raised in Buffalo. I'm raising my children here. And the reason why I'm so passionate about issues of police brutality, about the disinvestment and the intentional redlining and locking out of Black and brown people from the collective wealth in our community is because I have a deep love and sense of responsibility for the folks that I'm from, and who I lived among my entire life. The Fruit Belt Community Land Trust is a perfect case study of what people can do when they are given resources and equipped and empowered to lead for themselves. I often say that the people closest to the problem are people closest to the solution, and we know what we need where we are. We've seen time and time again over the course of the summer that more police don't keep us safe. What keeps us safe is a quality education, access to healthcare, healthy food, clean air and water, and really building a sense of community so that we feel accountable to one another. So, being able to expand things like community development, leadership through neighborhood councils and things like that is really what I'll do as mayor to make sure that we are able to take responsibility for the safety of our community and that our elected officials are accountable to us. And the last thing I'll just say is that this campaign for me is not about electing India as mayor of Buffalo. It is about building the infrastructure that is going to take on, challenge, and win against the status quo that has kept our people oppressed and poor for so long. And today we say enough is enough. Thank you.
Come through, Mayor Walton. Yes. Thank you for that question, Lauren. And thank you so much for sharing your vision with us, India. Next, I want to make sure we bring up Brother Isaiah Smith, a leader on National Deep Canvas Call team who is throwing down for our work to reimagine safety with the Charter Amendment in Minneapolis, who has a question for Tiffany Caban. Isaiah?
Hey, first I want to say thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to ask a question. I'm out here on the West Coast in Compton, doing the best I can for my family. I just want you to know right now, you might hear them in the background. So here in Compton, I don't know if y'all know, but we don't have our own police. We contracted out to corrupt LA sheriff. We pay more to that sheriff than we do our firefighters and our paramedics combined. Now there's a group of these contracted police, they call themselves the executioners. And what they do, this police gang, they go out and they get Nazi skulls tattooed on their bodies after violent shootouts. Now, I'm anxious to be a part of the righteous political movement that ends these practices. So I got a two-part question. What does movement politics mean to you? And second, how will these municipal elections in New York City move our agenda for racial and economic justice in the long term? And thanks again so much for taking your time.
First of all, Isaiah, I appreciate you and thank you. Movement politics, it means decentering yourself and centering your movement family in your work. It means recognizing that this is all part of an ecosystem, right? That electoral work, electoral politics, and changing dominant institutions like our governments is just one strategy amongst many that includes mass protests, that includes mutual aid, that includes personal transformation, and all of those things being in relationship so that we can rock that inside-outside game, right? So that we can figure out how to expand each other's capacities and push the bounds of the constraints of the systems that we're working within, in service of moving towards creating the communities that we deserve. And this particular strategy and of transforming our municipal governments is a really powerful one for moving closer to racial and economic justice long term. I mean, here in New York City, our municipal government is incredibly powerful with the budget, the legislative powers, the land use powers, and what we have an opportunity to do is reorient entire powerful bodies of government, of legislators, right? And leaning into what movement teaches us, because the more organizers and movement candidates that we get into the halls of power, we know that who we are accountable to is everything. We don't take that corporate money, we don't take that real estate money, we don't take, that cop money, and we stand with our people. And we are folks who will say that we're not going to be like the typical politicians who want to be the mayor for everyone, for the people in the high rises and the people in public housing, but that we are going to unapologetically be the electeds and the servants and the vessels for the folks who are on the margins of the margins, so that we are creating systems and solutions that allow those people in particular to not just survive, but thrive, because we know that what's good for the most vulnerable of us is good for all of us. And that's where it starts.
Thank you, Isaiah and Tiffany, for helping to start a vital conversation or continue a vital conversation on how we reimagine safety through municipal races and charter amendments, and how this is going to lay a foundation for a long-term structural change that not only do we know our communities need, but they deserve. So listen, we know that we have amazing, inspiring candidates who totally embody and understand the importance and the premium of reimagining public safety. But hearing from them, believing them, wanting liberation is not the same as getting it. So we need you in. I need you to stop what you're doing right now. Get your phone. I know it's next to you. Text WIN 79606 right now to join the amazing work that Isaiah, that Lauren, that India, that People's Action, that you, because we need you too, are going to help us do right now. We're going to throw down through our Deep Canvas program to reimagine for public safety. Get your phone. Text WIN to 79606. Now, it is my honor to introduce Illinois State Senator Robert Peters, who's representing the 13th District in Chicago, who is also a former director of one of our member organization, the People's Lobby, to share his perspective on how we can elect leaders through a vision of movement politics and win real safety for our communities. Take it away, Senator Peters.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, People's Action. Yes, I'm State Senator Robert Peters, which is the 13th district, which stretches from downtown Chicago along the lakefront to the Indiana border, if you've ever been to Chicago. So it's a long and skinny district. But let me first sort of talk about myself and how I got here. So I grew up in the south side of Chicago, and my biological mom was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I was put up for adoption, and I was adopted by a civil rights lawyer for a father and a social worker for a mom. And my mom suffered from alcoholism. She was addicted to alcoholism, struggling with mental health issues, and she didn't feel comfortable that she could talk about it. And for me as a kid, I never felt comfortable being home. So I hung out, in my park with my friends, getting in trouble over and over again. And one of the ways I was able to get through it was because I had a friend who had a door open in a time of need. But what we've seen over the last 40 years is that people don't have that community anymore. We've disinvested in that sense of community. We disinvested in the idea that you should have a roof over your head. We've disinvested in the idea that you should have food on a table or have a good school. And what we have said is that you have to pick yourself up by bootstraps that don't exist. And so what I think about when we have a conversation about safety and justice and the work that we need to get done is the fact that you should have those core elements in your life. You should have a full belly. Your brain should be able to imagine. You should know that when you walk down the street, you're not going to be pulled over or arrested simply because you're Black. And so I became an organizer with the People's Lobby, which is an affiliate with the People's Action. And I helped start with a group of other organizations the End Money Bond Coalition, because what we understood is bond is literally taking money and wealth out of people's pockets to put into a system and takes it away from them being able to get the food on their table, to have a roof over their head. If you see the running theme here is that money bond is taking wealth and money from people, particularly if you're poor, particularly if you're poor and Black, and particularly if you're poor, Black, and a woman. And it says that you get a tiered system of safety. It is not about whether you actually, did anything it simply says you're guilty of being poor. And so we helped build this coalition. And we worked and everyone kept they laughed at us. They said, oh, there's no way you're going to get this done. You guys are just crazy. You're radical, whatever. And we just kept grinding it. We first were able to organize and get an order from the chief judge in Cook County. Then we were able to pass the Bail Reform Act of 2017, which helped set the stage for more and more legislative work. And then I want to emphasize why the down ballot piece is so important. I was an organizer and a state Senate seat opened up and I decided to go for it. And I became a state senator, which I am talking to you as, and I came from the organizing effort. And I said that my number one mission is to take the organizing on the outside and bring the organizing on the inside, and to make sure that I'm doing it and I'm held accountable by the organizations that brought me, to remember who took me to the dance. And so working with the End Money Bond Coalition as a state senator, the state of Illinois this January passed as we're the first state in the entire country to abolish cash bail. And we did more than simply just abolish cash bail. We fundamentally changed the pretrial justice system. And we said that people deserve their day in court, because bail isn't just the fact that you are now locked up because you're poor, but it creates a plea deal machine. It means that people who are desperate to get out will plead guilty just to get out and see their family. And we combine that with the fact that not only do we get that done, someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, who was on camera shooting 2 people, was able to bond out. So most people who are struggling, if you're Black, you're particularly poor, and you're a woman, you don't have the ability to bond out. But someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, who had the privilege and the right-wing donors, got to bond out. And we see a highlight of a failed system that is not rooted in actually our safety. It's rooted in systemic racism, patriarchy, classism. And so as we've gotten this done, which is huge, it's also important to note it's going to still take this coalition effort. That wasn't the end of what we did in January. It was the beginning of our work. And so the implementation for our bill is in January of 2023. We're going to make sure as a coalition everywhere in the state. In Illinois, it's often pitted. It's Chicago versus downstate. When we toured the state, whether it was Peoria, Urbana-Champaign, where the University of Illinois is, we've toured the state and said, this impacts everybody in Illinois. And what we know is that the whole country is trying to see how it goes in Illinois. Now, let me back up. The whole country wants to make sure that Illinois fails. We don't have private bail, most states do, but they want to see Illinois fail. They want to do to Illinois what they did in New York or what they did in California. And what we want to say is that we need to bring this back in New York. We need to bring this back to California. We need this in every state. And the only way we're going to do it is if we elect people from our movement who are down ballot and held accountable by us. I should not curse. I was about to curse. We're on live. If I stray, I know the people who got me here will hold me accountable. And I have to see myself as an organizer first and an elected second. We need more of that. And that is what we're doing here. That is what we're pushing here. And that is our path to real safety and justice. It's what's happening under the dome of governing power. It's what's happening in the streets. It's pushing bold policy and knowing that that is not just the end point, but the beginning of real safety and justice in our communities, no matter the zip code. So I'm honored to be here. I'm glad to speak to everybody here. And I think we need to continue to organize and push, and let's make it happen, in the rest of the country here. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Peters. Thank you for the work you're doing and the movement and all the folks at the People's Lobby in Illinois. What you guys are doing is an exciting example of movement politics and co-governance in action. Now, I want to pass it over to Joey Giffen-Hunter, a member leader from Take Action Minnesota, who will share with us exactly how each of us can get involved in our struggle to reimagine safety in 2021 and beyond. And make sure to stick around after Joey. We will have a final set after this by Grammy Award-winning artist and activist Patti Austin. Take it away, Joey.
Hi, my name is Joey Giffen-Hunter and I live in Northeast Minneapolis. I'm a Take Action member volunteering on the Charter Amendment campaign to replace the Minneapolis Police with an Office of Public Safety. So before joining Take Action back in the summer of 2016, I just turned 50 and had begun to deeply on the words Black Lives Matter. And that summer, on July 6th, Philando Castile, a Black man, was murdered by the police on video in front of his partner and his young daughter, her young daughter. And it took me by surprise by how hard it hit me, because at that time, someone invited me to feel the wrongness of his death down in my bones. And part of this wrongness was in myself as a white man for waiting until I was invited to feel it and to grieve. Not many of you here have to be invited to feel the wrongness of all this in your bones. And we know we are all at different places emotionally in this. You may be thinking, some of you may be thinking joining this campaign is something you might want to do or thinking you should do. If this is the case, sign up with us to Deep Canvas, but also please consider setting aside some time to really reflect and sit with and grieve what is happening to everyday people in our city and your town, your city, your rural community. When I did this, I gained clarity and purpose and experienced a shift from wanting to change things to needing to change things. And at that time, back when I began to feel it, really feel it, I had to stop sitting on the sidelines. I realized back then very clearly that all this will never change until people who care about things turn into people who do things. It took a couple months of searching, but I am so grateful I found a political home at Take Action Minnesota, a People's Action member organization here. And I especially feel grateful now because I get to take part in a coalition campaign that is another game changer. If we can win and change our city charter to create a new Department of Public Safety, if we learn how to win in Minneapolis, we can do it where you live too. Here's how you can join to help us win and begin to win everywhere. Text WIN, that's W-I-N, to 79606. We will contact you and show you how you can begin working with us to reimagine safety. Sign up to throw down with me and the team here in Minneapolis every Sunday to absolutely transform public safety here in Minneapolis and set a historic precedent nationwide by winning our charter amendment issue ballot. We are deep canvassing every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're new to deep canvassing, no worries. We have a full training plan for you and an amazing team of coaches who will help you every step of the way. You can also sign up to throw down to the powerful down ballot candidates we heard from tonight by joining our New York City Municipal's Deep Canvas phone banks every Wednesday from 6 to 9 p.m. Standard Time. And we will have a wonderful team to train and support you through every step. So again, for Sundays in Minneapolis and Wednesdays in New York City, turn your phones on and text WIN. If you understand that the change we need will not happen unless people who care are ready to throw down in the struggle to reimagine safety with us. If you're feeling it, get out your phone, please, and text the word WIN. And the number to send that to is 79606. And I have to tell you, when I reach out to people living in Minneapolis, when I do this work in the People's Action community, it feeds my soul. I've connected with residents in Minneapolis who share heartbreaking stories of brutal interactions with police, but more often I connect with lots of people who, in this last year with the murder of George Floyd, have reached different stages of waking up. Not everyone, but so many people are waking up. They want to be a part of this change and need to be invited to join this movement to fundamentally change how to create their safety in their community. So I'm asking you to join us to build this movement by texting WIN to 79606. Thank you. Back to you, Afia.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you for speaking deeply from the heart and inviting all of us to join you in this critical and transformational anti-racist deep canvas work. So it should go without saying that we are a people-powered organization. And so we need you. In fact, I'm going to be honest, we need the Holy Trinity from you. We need your time, your talent, and your treasure. So what I'm asking you to do right now, right, you will see come on your screen now an option to support our work. Or you can click the link that you will see in the chat. And I'm asking you to help us to do this transformational work. I'm asking you to invest in yourself, right? By becoming a $10 monthly donor to People's Action or making a one-time donation of $27. Liberation requires all of this from us, right? We have to put in, we have to work for it, we have to love it, we have to believe in it, but we also have to fund it. So please do this right now. Drop in the chat a done when you've donated. I'll wait. Go on and do it. All right, now drop in the chat done when you've donated as we build both organized people and organized money to win this fight. And to close us out, I am thrilled to pass it to Patti Austin, Grammy Award-winning jazz artist and iconic activist who is joining us in this deep canvas movement tonight. Take it away, Patti.
Please, whatever you're doing, stop doing it and realize something. If we don't unite our forces right this very minute, we are going to lose our democracy on every level imaginable. During this really difficult time when we've all kind of been sent to our room by Mother Nature, I've decided to take that time and contemplate what's going on around me. And I feel that inactivity now is contributing to whatever is wrong. If you're inactive, if you're apathetic, if you don't have the energy to fix what's happening now, it's not going to get fixed. Last year, I picked a horrible year to turn 70, and everyone proclaimed me a senior citizen. Well, I was very cranky about it for a minute or two, and it knocked me off my feet. And I said, but wait, when I was young, I was out there with a picket sign. I was out there trying to make a change, but your age can't have anything to do with it. This all has to do with passion, your heart, your soul. And that thing that we keep calling the American dream is over. It's time to wake up and make a difference and make a change. and try just a little bit. The next time you see somebody suffering because of their situation, just try to imagine walking in their moccasins, just a little bit. You'll find out that they might not be that comfortable. And if they're not that comfortable in your imagination, imagine what it's like for that person. But also imagine at the same time what incredible things you can do. If you remember back, if you're my age, to when you were on your feet and vibrant and kicking it. Maybe your feet don't move anymore. Does your mind move? Do you have ideas? Do you have methods that we can use to make this country work? I just have to say this. I travel all over the world because of a wonderful thing called music. All over. South America, Africa, every continent, Asia, Europe, all over the world. And this is happening everywhere. The deterioration of our society. But it doesn't have to. And the thing that I know is that the people that I meet all over the world are absolutely incredible. And whenever anything gets done at a very high level, it always starts from the bottom up. The bottom up. So if you're good peasant stock like me, and you want to wake up and you want to get stuff done, this is the organization to unite your forces with. Because they have a template for a way to make this work. If we follow this and we follow this in unity, not only are we going to make a change in people's minds, but we're going to be able to make a change in people's hearts just by talking to them. Now, some people call me a singer. I got a Grammy once, so I'm going to try to show off a little bit of what I got left. There's a song that's always inspired me to go a little bit higher. It is so ever loving simple. And I've been doing a few of these kinds of events, and I try to use this song to inspire folks. So if you know it, sing along. If you don't, you'll learn it by the time I get to the end of it. And I want you to sing it every morning you get up because it'll motivate you. And it goes like this. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't you know that? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm telling you, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, ho, 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 you know that this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. You know that this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, oh, let it shine. You know that everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. You know that everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. You know that everywhere I go, everywhere I go and everywhere you go, you gotta let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Mwah! Get up, get going. Come on. I'm leaving right now. I'm getting started. I'm knocking on a neighbor's door. Wish me luck.